you from? What school do you attend? What have you done in your life so far?
I moved 9 different times, all on the south side.
Okay.
I like to tell folks, we never had a house, always had an apartment.
Yeah.
And when the rent was due, my mom liked to move us to a new location.
Yep.
But for high school, I went to St. Lawrence. Following that, I went down enough to get a basketball scholarship, and I went and played Division II basketball down in Memphis, Christian Brothers College. Met some good people there that helped, helped me change as a person, because I was very rough around the edges when I went down there. And then when I came back, I actually went to law school and worked as a prosecutor for a number of years, putting so-called bad guys away until I got burnt out. And then I taught school for a number of years. And during that time, I went and got a MFA in creative writing and started focusing on writing.
Where did you find the inspiration to start writing?
I think everybody, all of us, it's a cliche, but I think it's true. We all have stories to tell.
Okay.
It's just a matter of how you want to tell them and how personal you want to be. When I was at Columbia, the first book I wrote was a food book called The Streets and Sandman's Guide to Chicago Eats. And our professor one day said, "Hey, let's write about what you did at work today." So for me, I wrote about, one of the highlights of our day working as a city electrician was going out to lunch. So I wrote a food review. But I wrote it under the guise of The Streets and Sandman, using that voice. Mm-hmm. And then from there, he had me write a few more. He turned it into a publisher that he knew, and the person said they wanted to bring me on to do a book. And that's how the first one came to be.
Yeah. What is it about food that makes you want to write?
Yeah, the way I look at it is two of my favorite things, writing and food. And if you can combine them together and do that, that's cool. And that's what I had the opportunity to do with The Streets and Sandman's Guide. And then with the new book, No Ketchup, I actually was writing. I was in the midst of putting together what I thought was a pretty good first chapter for a novel. And it was early 1900s Chicago, and I had it focused around this place, the Dill Pickle Club, and all the craziness that was going on there. And then all of a sudden, when I started chapter 2, it wasn't going anywhere. Yeah. So I went out and had a hot dog to eat that day. And then from there, hot dogs.
What was your favorite hot dog that you came across in Chicago?
So to be fair to all the different parts, a lot of people don't even know we have an east side in Chicago too. We know we have the north, the south, the west side, east side, heading over towards Hegwish and that way. But so what I did is I came up with the top 5 south, top 5 north, and the top 5 burbs. But for me, as a person, Fat Johnny's at 72nd and Western there, 73rd and Western has always been my go-to.
In food, you've written in several different genres like memoirs, fictions, and nonfiction. What is your favorite genre to write about, and what is the difference between them? Yeah,
I guess, the first, non-food book, after the Streets and Sandman book, I wrote The Drunkard's Son. And that's a story about my family and how, as the neighborhoods and difficult times were happening in the mid '60s, it was a time of turmoil and craziness, probably somewhat similar to the times that are happening now, and how a family changes along with that neighborhood in those times. And it was a difficult story to write in points because you're writing about your own family, but also the other thing is it was very rewarding because. And a lot of those people had passed on to the great beyond, and I was able to kind of breathe life back into them and write about them, and it was as though they were alive as characters there in front of me.
What can we expect from you in the future?
Actually, I have 2 things in mind. I'm going to go back to that novel that I was working on before, hot dogs jumped on me. Something I want to do. It's a pretty cool period in the time of Chicago, writing about the 1915s, 1920s, because that's when the Chicago literary renaissance was happening. Pretty cool characters, crazy stuff going on, a lot of anarchy and things happening. But also, too, I want to jump back and do some memoir pieces about, I had a couple of crazy things happen, during, that's what makes a memoir fun, is, a couple little run-ins with the law. And I think it would be fun to go ahead and kind of write about those so that, as a lawyer who was a former state's attorney, so that students that are in law school can look at some of the things that occurred and say, hey, I'll make sure I don't do what that guy did.
What are your goals as an author that you haven't already accomplished? What do you dream to do? You've done a lot already.
I think when you write a book, you write it for yourself, first of all, meaning that you want to, it's a way of creating, I mean, I don't want to get goofy, but like, the artist paints and all that, the writer writes, and you want to feel good about what you wrote. But strangely, the thing is, you don't really feel validated until you get the other people that say that they like your work, that they like this. I mean, like any other writer, I think I'd love to put a blockbuster out there that, went everywhere. And most of my stuff has stayed local. And that's fine. I mean, it's been fun putting those works together. But I'm also wrapping up a screenplay that my oldest son, I have 3 boys, but my oldest son, Matt, is a sports writer out on the East Coast. And we're in about 95% done with a screenplay. That last part may take another 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, so at Rice, we do have a lot of people that like to write, and we have a lot of people that like food. So what advice would you have for people that want to start jumping into the author world?
I mean, for as far as the writing itself, I'm a spurt writer, which means I may go months without actual sitting down and getting pen to paper. But then when I go, it's all consuming. I'm up till 2 or 3 in the morning and going with it. That's just the way I function. But to anybody that is interested in writing and wants to write, you have to work at it, continue to do it. It's like anything. I mean, if you're a basketball player, you got to go out and take those jumpers every day. You're not getting better.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for sitting down with us today. We really appreciate it, and we really, really, really love all the work you've put out towards us. It was my pleasure interviewing you.
Thanks. This was fun.
We hope you come back. We hope that next time you come back, maybe we'll have a blockbuster movie to talk about.
That sounds good.